Strong Dads would like to welcome Casey's Outdoor Solutions as a new sponsor to our podcast. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to another show here with Merle. We're doing another show with Strong Dads. Pretty excited to be back. Our second show here on the old YouTube.
Second show in the booth.
Oh, man. We're in some booth here, Merle.
Hey, work with me.
Are you... All right, so a little.
I haven't seen you over here doing any.
This is true.
Labor.
So, a little backstory on this one. Our first show, this wonderful tree here behind me. Merle's like, "Hey, we should definitely get rid of that. It's definitely kind of little on the feminine side." I'm like, "I would absolutely agree, right?" So we would do our whole first show, and I'm like, "Golly, there's nothing behind us." I'm like, Merle, we got to do something. So. Today, I decided to bring in something manly, something cool, something we could put up here. I got the cool Fireman Axe here.
Sweet.
We got to find a cool spot.
Do you know how to even use that thing?
Well, this is my. There's two different types of axes we use in the fire service, and this is the.
That one's sharp.
Yeah, well, this is my now wood cutting. This is for chopping some firewood, but this is the Pickhead Axe. This is my least favorite axe of the two. We have a flathead and a pickhead.
What's the difference?
So the little pick back here, so flathead obviously.
And what do you use that for?
Good question. That's why it's not exactly my favorite. No, I shouldn't say good question. There's a lot of different uses for it, but the flathead is definitely my preferred axe that I like. So
what do you use it for? Now you better know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like it has many different uses. The biggest use, like if you're up on a roof, you can put this into the roof and it gives you a foothold. So it gives you can actually bury this into the roof and you can actually put your foot on top of here to kind of have it so you can step off of the ladder.
Gotcha. Yeah, so actually to help for stability for your getting up.
Yeah.
So you don't use it to like break through the roof and cut a hole in the roof?
So we would use this side for getting through that. So this could be used for like making a purchase point. So like making it's a little bit more direct, right in the point where you're trying to go, and then you can turn around and use the actual good part. We don't do a whole lot of chopping though. We're not woodworkers.
You're not woodworker. Well, you are, but not when you're on the job.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, but you made a comment the other day. Like all my axes are sharp. I sharpen them. And this one's fairly sharp. But you made a comment that a good fireman's axe is not sharp. Yeah, why not? That doesn't make sense.
I know it's kind of be counter to what you would think. So yes, the typical fireman axe, you do not want it to be overly sharp, and the reason is when you put this into a roof, if it's really sharp, it's going to have a tendency to get stuck in there. Oh. So we like a little bit duller of an axe to actually get in there, and you can actually, because a true fireman, like when they're cutting a roof, are not doing big, massive swings. It's a lot more of the smaller, choppy.
Right.
So you want a little bit more of a duller axe. So yeah,
cool.
You don't want to get stuck.
Yeah. So that's one of our first pieces of decor.
Oh yeah, decor. We'll put that right there.
We're gonna have something really cool there. It should be coming any day.
Better than this tree we have over here.
That's Linda's tree. Don't mess with Linda's tree.
It looks wonderful. I kind of blend in today, I think.
You do. You actually look like you're part of the tree.
Anyways, we got way off on a tangent.
Yeah, where are we going today anyway?
Yeah.
All right, so we are coming to you strong dads out there today with a conversation today about scars. About scars. What do our scars say about us?
I'll give you a scar here, Merle.
Put your toy away. What do our scars say about us? And what do we learn from them? Do they destroy us, or do we become better from them? And so I think we're going to have some good conversation about a lot of different types of scars. And I think to start with, you need to talk about some of your scars here.
Well, chicks do. They dig scars, so I have a lot of them, which is why Jenny was so attracted to me. No,
I think a lot of it depends on how the scar looks, but how you got the scar.
Yeah.
If you got it because you were putting butter on your toast in the morning and the butter knife cut your finger, that's not really that impressive.
Yeah. So I actually have quite a few scars from stitches or staples. I can't even remember which ones I got. I actually have a cross on my head. At the top of my head, so it's gonna be bad if I ever go bald one day. So the first one,
how did you get like a cross on the top of your head?
Well, the first one, way back in the day, back in my day, when slides, like tube slides, used to be metal.
Oh yeah,
I decided to run up the wrong way.
Oh. And this is our partner on Strong Dads.
Run up the wrong way and smoked my head that way. And then the other one, I don't know, birthday party, and I decided to do a fadeaway shot, a little Nerf hoop, and hit the metal or the marble windowsill. And caught my head going that way.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I had to leave. I had to leave the sleepover, go get stitches, and I actually came back. So
there you go, and you scored.
Yeah. So yeah, those are a couple of my scars. Those are my physical scars, right?
There.
So what about you? You got to have some physical scars.
I am a train wreck with scars. I think I used to brag when I was like 20 years old or so. Like I had never even had stitches.
Really?
I had a couple broken bones, but I didn't have any stitches. And actually, when I was 32, I had my first neck surgery. And since that time, I can't even begin to tell you how many stitches I've had. One of my, I think at least kind of coolest looking scars that you probably aren't going to be able to see very well from here, but I've had 3 neck fusions. So I'm fused from C4, 5, 6, and 7. I got one big old neck bone. And when they went in for the third surgery, they were going to go back in through the original opening, and it wasn't going to be big enough. So they went, and I don't know if you can see, but they went through the original opening, and then they cut down, and you can see like a triangle there.
Oh, yeah.
They took a flap of skin and just took that thing wide open. And I didn't know they were going to do that. And I came out of surgery, and the first time they took the dressing, I'm like, what'd you do? Was my head like rolling around on the floor? What'd you do?
Man, you said C4?
Yeah.
Golly.
C4, 5, 6, and 7 are all fused together. So,
wow.
Yeah. I wish I could brag on exactly like how that all happened, but I don't know.
You gotta come up with a better story than just surgery, fusing your neck. You like the tiger bit you or something. Like,
I have another really stupid one. This is funny, and again, scars might be tough to see like from where you're at, but I have a scar that goes from here all the way up and around on my arm, and this story is so stupid, but it's funny. So we were given a gift. It was a gift to hang up in our house, and it was like an old frame barn window. Okay?
Yeah.
And it was old single pane glass, and a lady, a friend of ours, did it for us, and she did a family tree on it. She painted a family tree with all of our family members and stuff. So it was going to be something we were going to hang up. Well, this thing was massive. I tried to put it in a couple different places, and it was just like, oh man, that's just too big. So I told Lynn, I'm like, we'll find a place here because we want to hang it up. So in the meantime, I took the picture and I just leaned it up against in our bedroom on the wall. I was sitting on the floor. I just leaned it against the wall until like we were going to get around to hanging it up. And no kidding, this is the dumbest story. This has never happened to me before. It hasn't happened since. I got up about 6 o'clock in the morning one morning, and I always kind of go to my dresser and get my underoos ready to go for the shower and everything. Underoos, like grandma and stuff. And so I go to get there, and I gave a big old stretch, okay? And I go to give a big old stretch, and I got lightheaded. I got lightheaded, and all of a sudden I lost my balance.
Oh, sheezel.
And I all of a sudden started to fall, and the room was completely dark still. And the next thing you know, I fall, and my hand goes right through the window.
No.
It goes right through the window.
Oh, no.
That woke Linda up.
I bet it did.
She gets out, and she turns the light on, and my whole arm, the flesh is laying down, and all you can see are the muscles and blood. I mean, blood is squirting all over the carpet. And I'm like, Linda's going, ah, ah, ah. And I'm like, honey, call or go get me a towel. Get me a towel. And she's like, should I call 911? I'm like, no, we don't have time. And I said, you're driving me. And I just took that towel and I held that. I mean, I'm not kidding you. That flap of skin was down like this. And I thought Linda was going to pass out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm holding that thing up. And so anyway, we left the house and we called our neighbors and said, hey, could you go in and
clean it all up for
us?
us?
Well, just put we had some stuff to put on the blood so it would stain.
Yeah.
And so I had not really taken a look at the house, because it was
Sure.
I was busy with my arm. And our neighbor friend went over there and she was like, oh my God,
murdered over here.
There was blood all over the walls. It was all over the carpet. So anyway, I wish that was like a brave story, but that was just something total knucklehead stupid.
Man, you got to come up with some better stories for these
well,
stars.
Not very heroic, are they?
No.
Okay, let's get into the show.
Yeah. We got to get into the show.
Yeah.
Well, here, let's do this. Before we do that, we definitely want to take some time and again, we talk all the time about our sponsors coming alongside of us, and we again really do appreciate them. Crimer's Beer House and Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Thanks so much, guys, for coming alongside of us, believing in what we believe in. Definitely, the support you guys give is greatly appreciated. So definitely want to give a shout out to those guys.
Yeah. So also, while we're saying this, we want to bring up a reminder of if you like listening to what we're talking about, if it's helpful, if it's funny, if it's whatever it is, if it's worth another listen, help us out and share the show. Subscribe to our link, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on one of the other podcast platforms. Subscribe to that. Please give us a rating. I mean, that rating is what helps get the message up and then out. And so we need your help to do that. And when we're just flat out asking for it.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about scars.
Yeah.
Let's talk about scars. We had a little bit of fun just, making fun of ourselves with our own scars. But why are scars important? And what do scars say about us? And I think as men, we need to understand what scars are really about. And there's good scars and there's bad scars. But either way, they tell a story. Okay? And so, as a man, I think it's really important. One of the things I've always felt is the last thing I want to do is go to my grave wondering what would have happened if.
Yeah.
Well, what if I would have taken this chance? What if I would have started this business? What if I would have ridden my bike over here? What if? And sometimes when you say, I'm not going to wonder what if, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But scars show us many, many times, scars can show us that we're living.
Yeah.
We're living. We've tried to live.
Yeah.
Not always perfectly, but we've lived.
Yeah.
All right.
That's when kind of in talking about this show, recently I had a chance to go to a training out just outside of Chicago, and they talk a lot about training scars. And I think it is so true. These times, like we were doing a forcible entry simulator where we're trying to get into a door, and I just, for the life of me, I turned into like old caveman, and I'm like twirling this baton around, trying to figure out how to use this tool that I use every day at work. And it's one of those things where the door was getting the best of me. It was kicking my butt, right? And afterwards, the instructor pulled me aside, and we were able to talk about it. He's like, hey, this isn't going to be a training scar. You're never going to forget this because this is what you were doing.
That's right.
And you should have tried to do it this way. And from that, I look at every door a little bit different now from that because of that training scar that I had. In a lot of ways, I've always thought of like scars as a negative thing, but man, it was such a positive experience to have gone through that and to kind of have good takeaways. And now I get to use that in my job every day. So now when I see these doors, I think of that day. I'm like, hey, if this door, if it gives me a similar scenario that I saw at that training, I know how to treat it. And it's just that exact same idea. When we talk about things in life, man, like you have to experience things even if they do cause a little bit of a scar, but how much better you're going to be because of that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, to the idea that are we going to learn from it, right? So scars, they tell us that we are living, that we are going out there and we're trying to get things done. It also tells us that we make mistakes, right? And the faster you get over whether you're going to be perfect or not, the better. So get over, you could have sat there and pouted all day long as to why the door was kicking your tail. Yeah. But eventually you go, okay, what do I need to learn from this? And you have a good instructor that comes in and says, okay, so what were we doing wrong?
Yeah.
So
and that's the cool thing about the scars is although they are a reminder of your mistakes, it also lets you realize that you've moved past that. You can kind of, begin to kind of put that in your past, not necessarily always forgetting about it, because I think there's a lot of good lessons you can learn from your scars, but realizing that that's something that happened in your life, and we've moved past it. We're kind of at peace with that you messed up, you made that mistake, but now you've healed past that.
Yeah. So healing is, I think, another thing that reminds us. When I did cut my arm open, one of my first thoughts about that in the moment, with everything just being nasty, was, oh my gosh, am I going to be permanently damaged? Because I thought about cutting nerves or tendons, and I just know from experience that can lead to bad things. And so I thought, oh, how permanent is this? And I think when I look at the scar now and I see my arm's totally functional and everything's great, it reminds us we do heal.
Yeah.
We do heal. And I think in the moment, you have to understand that when you're going through a bad event, if you can get yourself removed somewhat from the event and go, this too shall heal. This too shall pass.
Right. And I mean, and a lot of what we've kind of been talking about are more of the physical scars. But definitely, there's guys us men, we deal with emotional scars.
Yeah.
There's things that go on every day, but you have to realize that sometimes those emotional scars, those things that you've gone through outside of the physical scars that you have, like, those are good things. They're letting you know that you're living life. Like, man, you're doing stuff. Because if you just sit in your house all day and do nothing, there's not going to be very many scars. So I think having emotional scars, having things that have happened in your life are good things, because it allows you to realize, like, you are a man. You are doing things. You by no means are we perfect men. You and I talk about all the time that, golly, we're broken men. But man, that's a good thing. Like, you have to, in order to get better at life, you have to make mistakes. You have to realize, like, those mistakes happen, so now I can move to a different place.
Right. Yeah. A scar is the opportunity to be able to tell a story.
Absolutely.
To tell the story later. And when you tell a story, the story brings wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's so much of what, I could tell you about a trip that I would like to go on, climbing a mountain or whatever, climbing the mountain. But how about if I showed you the scars, or shared with you the actual stories of the experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's why it's so important. Scars are proof. They're proof that you've been living. Mm-hmm. And in the gospel, in John 20:24, this is when Jesus has already died on the cross, and he's risen. And all of the apostles are gathered back in the room, and they're just kind of lost, like, now where do we go from here? And we're a little bit just worried, because the idea that we're going to be accepted by the community is not very positive. And so Jesus appears, and they're all blown away.
Yeah.
And here he is, he's resurrected, and he's back, okay?
Yeah.
And Thomas is like, no.
Yeah,
that's not Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to pull that one over on me. And I just want to read through here, because I think this really helps us understand why our scars are important, okay? So it says, this is John 20:24 through 29. Now Thomas, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." The scars are what it took for Thomas to actually believe and to see the story and to see it come to life. And so that's why Jesus' scars mean something to us. Your scars mean something to yourself, but to other people too. And I think that that's important. My scars are things now that I do want to share with other people, that I do want to share especially with my kids, because they prove what you have been through.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you're making, Merle. Man, I mean, if you guys are out there and you have scars, you've gone through stuff in your life, like we have to share those with our spouse. We have to share those with our kids. Like that's the way, that's how we can move past those, and those scars, you can begin that healing process, because the scars are there. That's part of the healing process. But the other side of that, in order to move past that, is there has to be, kind of this time where you're sharing, you're open, and you're being honest with your wife, and you're letting her know that these are scars that you've gone through. And man, what a great opportunity for you and your spouse, or you and your kids, to take those scars and turn them into something so positive. Especially if you've gone through periods where you've not always been the best dad to your kids, or there's been times where you've been absent in their life. Like, what a great opportunity to take those scars that have happened for your kids and turn it into a positive. Like, openly admit that you were in the wrong with your kids. I think it's a great opportunity. There's times where I have to go to my girls and say, I'm so sorry that I yelled at you this way. I'm going through a time where I'm not sleeping very much because of work, and I'm not, I'm missing meals. Like, those are the times where I get so frustrated, and I sometimes I snap at my girls, and those create those little scars in my girls, and I have to realize that, and I have to take that opportunity to go back, just like Jesus did. Like, Thomas, come over here, put your hand here. Like, let's
Here's the proof.
Exactly. Here's the proof. I mean, what a great opportunity to go to your kids, go to your spouse, and openly admit your flaws, those scars you have, and begin a healing process.
Yeah. So we're going to go through and talk a little bit about, more specifically, about the different types of scars. And our challenge here, as we kind of walk through this discussion, is for you to be thinking about your scars and how you can help use those scars to prove, but also to teach, and to become teaching yourself, teaching others how to go one step better, how to be the better person. So we're not trying to say whether the scars are good or bad. The only thing we are trying to say is scars tell a story.
And they happen.
Yeah, they happen.
Everyone has some form of scars.
And so what are you going to do with it? So, the first thing I think about is, like, I shared my story about blowing my arm open. Are your scars from reckless living?
Yeah.
Are they from, that was a reckless thing that I did, it was, I fell.
Yeah.
Are your scars for a divorce?
Yeah.
Addiction, joblessness, missing your dreams, just blowing an opportunity? Does your scar leave you with a permanent damage? What kind of scar do you have? And what are you doing with it?
Yeah, and I mean, again, when you start to look at it, you have to realize, again, just what I was saying before, everyone has those scars, and take those scars for what they are. Like, those are a glimpse inside your life of something that happened. Yes, if you went through a divorce, that's going to create a scar. It has to. If it doesn't, then you weren't truly invested in that. There's going to be a scar. I've never gone through a divorce. I know that creates scars for people, but realize that part of those scars mean, like, you're living life. That means you're doing something. Again, a divorce, we would never advocate for people to go through a divorce, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just getting to the idea, man. Like, we're called to live life and live it to the fullest. Like, Jesus clearly tells us that. So, like, these scars happen, but use them, again, turn them into something positive. Use that to fulfill a life that Jesus really wants for you.
Yeah. And how do we fulfill that? Several weeks ago, we had Dr. Roger Teller on the show, and Roger and I shared our stories about adoption and everything. But it's important to kind of know that, kind of off air, he and I had some conversation, and he is a doctor that deals with wound care. And so part of his whole work is, when somebody has a wound, there is a proper way to care for the wound to help heal properly, but minimize the scarring. Yeah. And so this is kind of what we're talking about. Like, if you don't take care of yourself, like, let's say we've gone through a divorce situation, how you take care of that wound is going to determine what the scar looks like, and then how you're going to use the scar later. And so whether it's addiction, whether it's a divorce, whether it's an accident of some sort, taking care of yourself while you're in the wound stage and handling that properly will determine how ugly your scar is later. And so that's a point of our conversation, is if you're in something ugly, or you have been through something ugly, Did you heal properly? Yeah. Did you heal the best way that you can? And if you didn't, we we used to always talk about when we were little kids, man, if you ever break your arm, you better get it set right the first time, because if you don't, they'll go back in and re-break it. The thought of that. Well, the idea that sometimes when we heal wrong, we have to go back in and we have to like reopen the wound.
Yeah.
And so let's get it right the first time. And again, things happen, divorces happen, addictions happen, job loss happens. Let's heal right.
Yeah. So when we were talking about this show, the idea of scars, one of the big scars that kind of came to mind for me in 1999. I was talking to my dad about this actually on the way over to record this show. I think it's good to talk about those old scars. In 1999, my dad, my whole family, but they were all on my dad's side. We had 5 of our family members die in 11 months, ranging from my great grandma all the way down to one of my cousins. In 11 months, we had 5 of our family members die. And it was a really hard time for our family. That's a lot of getting phone calls. This person's in the hospital now. This person just passed. But it was a time where our family, I really do feel like, 1999 was a few years ago. I wasn't old. Obviously I was a little bit younger, so I don't remember it vividly, but I remember some of the effects, some of those scars that we're talking about, and kind of those scars, those things that I went through still pop up in my mind quite often. And I lost one of my cousins. She died in a house fire. Like,
oh wow,
like those things stick with you, and those are scars. But just like you were saying, like how do we in the midst of those events happening, how do we respond to those? Because yes, it will long term. You're gonna see those lasting effects of how you went through those events.
I'm gonna tap into this because we didn't talk about this, but so you lost a cousin in a house fire. Does that have anything to do with you being a fireman today?
That's a great question. I don't know. The crazy thing is I work for the department that's a house fire where my cousin died, and actually one of the guys who went in and helped rescue my cousin, she ended up dying later on in the hospital. One of the guys that actually went in there and was part of rescuing my cousin actually is now, he sold me my house. He's a realtor now, and I got the chance to work with him, and a great man. And he'll be the first to tell you, like, it was the hardest day of his career, like, because he also knew my family and knew my cousins, and they used to be neighbors. So yeah, I mean, to this day, I don't necessarily know 100% if that was why I decided to be a fireman, but I definitely think that plays a part in it.
Yeah,
I mean, it has to.
Connection there. Yeah. A lot of times we've talked about the physical scars. But with men and women, so we don't want to be just isolating to one side here. Yeah. But a lot of times with men, we muscle through our wounds. And one in particular that we've probably seen more and more of, we've actually done shows on it, is the emotional traumatic scars. The things that you can't see very easily on the outside. Yeah. And the reason why they're worth talking about is because they impact how we are going to be as a man. They impact how we're going to be as a husband and father and all these things. And we put terms on them like PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder. And that's a scar. That's an emotional, mental scar.
Absolutely.
And I like to help people with those situations because I've seen what it does when they don't heal properly. You guys in the firefighting world, I know we've talked about this before. You've seen guys who've just kind of melted down, who've kind of been wigged out with anxiety and depression because of the ugly that they've seen or the stress they've seen. And so how aggressive now is like the fire service in helping guys recognize that wound?
Oh, it's huge right now. It is a massive movement that is going on, not just in the police fire world. I mean, it's big in the military world right now, just because it is such a big topic right now that for the longest time, guys are just, hey, you're fine, man. Y'all just suck it up,
Right.
And because of those scars that have happened, we have learned as a service, as a fire service, that we can't treat the guys like that. We have to be able to say, hey, if you need to talk, we're here for you. We have a peer support group. We have other firemen who do the job that we do that are able to, they go through a class and they learn how to talk through stuff like that and listen. I talk all the time about the kitchen table. I'm telling you, Merle, like that kitchen table is that's my peer support. I go there every day. I go to work and I'm able to, like, we get back from a bad run and we'll talk about it and we'll discuss, hey, how do we get better? How the next time should we treat this patient? And because of that, because of openness of willing to talk about it, just like you were saying, then it doesn't turn into depression. We're able to kind of stop it right. I mean, yes, those thoughts, those patients, those runs I've gone on that are always going to be in my mind. Like, I'll never get rid of those. But I also know that the guys I'm with are thinking the same thing. We're able to talk through it. And what a powerful thing that is to be with other guys, other people who have gone through what I've gone through and able to sit around a kitchen table and talk about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I think as we talk and we move through the whole scar conversation, if I'm going to go through a traumatic event or get damaged in a way, oftentimes, especially as Christian men, we go like, okay, so why did I have to go through that? So what am I supposed to do with this that happened in my life? And I think that's a worthy question because that very well could be used for a purpose. Yeah. I could just be mad and angry for the rest of my life as to why it happened to me. Or I could say, okay, what do I need to do with this? And I think that's the next part of our conversation. Are you able and willing to make your scar a worthy event?
Yeah.
Meaning, are you going to use it for something good? Like you just said, you said the kitchen for the firemen. I'm thinking of the locker room for the athlete. I'm thinking of the debriefing room for the military guys that just came out of a combat exercise. I'm thinking the lunchroom at work for the guys that work in the factory. These are all places where you bring the wound to the surface, and then you have the opportunity to learn from it. And if you don't do that part, and that's what we found like with the PTSD, if guys don't do their part in putting that wound in its proper care, it just it festers all those years. You see guys, for the last 30 years, I've dealt with this issue, okay? And so to help them bring it out, to make the wound turn into a scar of worthiness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's part of where the idea of Strong Dads kind of came from. I mean, multiple occasions, multiple times going through, for me, going through runs, for you, dealing with kids in the school, these little scars that kind of just build up. And it's just like, man, at some point I want to do something about it. Just like you were saying, making it a worthy, making those scars worth something, do something about it. We sit around the kitchen table and try and solve all the world's problems. And it's like, sometimes you just got to take some of those minor scars that you've gone through and be like, all right, I'm going to tackle this one today.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where part of how, Strong Dads came to be, is just these little scars that we went through. And it's like, enough is enough. I want to do something about it. Let's start the conversation.
Especially if your scar is impacting the people that you're supposed to be caring for.
Yeah.
If my scar is making me a less than great husband or dad, then I owe it to my wife and to my kids to deal with and heal my scar or my wound better, okay? So we're going to walk into our challenge, and hopefully as you've been watching and listening, you've been thinking a little bit about, man, what are some of these things that just they haunt me, or I see them, or maybe I've just kind of sloughed them off and pushed them back to the corner. What are some of these for me? And I challenge you to look at some of your scars. The physical ones, yes, but really probably more importantly in a lot of ways are the mental ones, the emotional ones, the spiritual ones. What is a spiritual scar? Think about how angry you could be at God. There's a lot of atheists that I've listened to over the years, and they actually, when they talk about God, they get angry. Like, there is no God, blah, blah, and I'm like, why are you so mad over something that doesn't exist in your mind? Right. So it's very interesting, but that's a scar. Yeah. And to help handle that, but to understand whether you've been held hostage by that scar. So I challenge you to be unfolding some of your own scars, whether emotional or spiritual or mental or physical, and just bring those to the surface and think about what you need to start the healing process, or get it back engaged, or finish it if it didn't get the finish.
Right. And part of that healing process, you definitely, you need to start admitting that those scars happen. I would really encourage you guys, man, throw him on God. Like, he's a big enough dude. He can take him. He's got broad shoulders. He can come alongside of you. Put those on him. Let him help that healing process, because I promise you, he will help you. He's not going to leave you stranded. It may be very cliche to say, "Oh, just give it to God and he'll take care of everything." But I also think the other side of that is God wants us to do something as well.
Right.
He doesn't just want, basically, here, God, you take it all, and then God will take care of it. He wants you to come along for the ride. So I would say, definitely first admit that those scars have happened, and quit letting them take hostage of your life, man. Give them to God. Let him help you. Let him come alongside of you as you work through it yourself. Let him be a part of that process.
Yeah. In closing up, I want to make a statement about the worst scar that there is. The worst kind of scar there is really a man that has no scars. The worst scar is the man who has sat back and done nothing to very little, who has not taken chances, who has not taken risk, who has not gone out in front, who has not gotten dirty. The guy who has lived a life with no scars. That's the worst scar. That scar will actually eat at that man forever, because he has not lived. And so I challenge you that if you kind of look around and you've lived this super safe life, and you've always been about being safe, what are you doing? What are you doing? Christ got dirty. We get dirty. We all fall. We all make mistakes. Being safe is one of the worst scars that you'll have. And I want that in the proper context. We're not talking about living a reckless life. We're talking about going out and living, and not just trying to be safe.
Yep. For sure. We definitely appreciate you guys listening, tuning in. Guys, man, the Strong Dad, we're here for you guys. If you guys want us to talk about something, try and tackle a topic, we would love to hear from you. At Rock Solid Family with Merle and Linda, if you guys are dealing with some serious stuff and want to talk to somebody who can come alongside you, golly, reach out, call Rock Solid Families. I know Merle and Linda would love to bring you in to talk. Zoom calls are an option if you aren't feeling comfortable with the COVID season. Like, use the resources that we have to reach out and seek that help. Get that help. Don't let those scars completely take hostage over your life. Reach out, get help. It's there. It is definitely there for you. Definitely, if you guys want to reach out to Rock Solid Family, call 812-576-7625. Reach out, talk to Merle, talk to Linda, and use the resources that you have.
That's good. That's good.
Was that good? Was that good?
That was good.
That was a good plug.
Yeah, I like that. What we say when we're building a house is all of a sudden when something gets lined up right and finally looks like it's coming together, you say, you know what you say?
What's that? You
don't know what you say? Oh, man, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
This guy. You say, nailed it! Woo! Yeah! All right. So, hey, we're going to close out. Thank you for listening to Strong Dads. As Kyle said, reach out to us if you need to. Sign us off, dude.
Heck yeah, go out there and be some strong dads. Hey, this is Kyle Carver from Strong Dads. Strong Dads podcast would love to thank the Crimers Beer House for coming alongside of us. The Crimers Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family, and since that time, they have definitely become a Cincinnati favorite. So if you're looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down to Route 128 and check out the Crimers Beer House.